So now let's put this all together and connect the dots. Let's learn some of the tricks of the trade in order to make innovation happen in your organization. Master the art of SODOTO. That stands for see one, do one, teach one. The way we best learn anything is by being apprenticed by a known master. Consider how a physician learns to be a physician. They go to medical school and then they shadow a physician. Once they've shadowed a physician for some period of time, they themselves get to do their residency. And in their residency, they learn to do surgeries and operations under the careful eye of a physician. Over time, they master their craft and in turn become the attending physician themselves and teach and apprentice junior physicians. It is through a process of see one, do one, teach one that we develop expertise as innovators. Who are you apprenticing yourself to? Who are you apprenticing? Organizations all say they want innovation, but most of the organizational processes and practices are designed to eliminate variation. Key indicators, turnkey processes, strategies that are highly aligned. So what you need to do is find the projects that the organization has sanctioned. It's given a lot of money to, executives are running, and these projects are getting momentum as they move through the organization. What you want to do is treat them like Trojan horses. You want to take your innovation initiative and you want to hide it as a part of one of these large projects. This will give you resources, it will give you momentum, and most importantly, you will hide in plain sight. By being inside a Trojan horse project, you will move effortlessly through the walls of the organization bureaucracy undetected. In the 1960s, there was a musical called Camelot. When it opened in Toronto, it was 7.5 hours and people walked out. It then moved to Boston and it was 4.5 hours and people walked out. It then moved to New Haven, it was 3.5 hours and people walked out. But they made adjustments. And finally, when it moved to Broadway, it was 2 hours. And the President of the United States loved it and made it the soundtrack for his administration. Now the point is simple. What would have happened if Camelot would have opened on Broadway at 7.5 hours? You would have never heard of the musical. Well, this is a great lesson for innovation initiatives. You want to fail early, you want to fail often, but most importantly, you want to fail out of sight. So find a place where you can test your project, you can work out all the bugs, and once you've worked out all the bugs, then you bring it into your core markets where your stakeholders can see it and where people can admire your wonderful work. Our amazing brain is designed to make pictures. This is why we have an imagination. This is why we can fantasize. This is why we can project ourselves into a desired future. Now, there's an old saying that the filmmakers have, which is show, don't tell. Because innovation happens in the future in ways that we can only imagine now, we need to give people prototypes, proof that this is possible. A great example is the iPod. When Steve Jobs came back to Apple, the iPod was carved out of a bar of soap. He asked his designers to carry it with them, to interact with it. This is how they discovered that it wasn't going to work like a microcomputer. They discovered that the thumb was going to be used to find songs. They discovered what size it needed to be to fit into their pocket. All of those unique design elements came from prototyping this device that hadn't existed before. In the same way, take your innovation initiative and prototype it. If it's abstract, tell a story, paint a picture, create a metaphor for it. If it's something tangible, carve it out of a bar of soap, use some plastic tubing to put it together. Whatever makes it real. Remember, it's only when people can imagine your innovation that they can fully support it. In the old Hollywood Western movies, there was usually a part of the movie where somebody rambled into camp and told the other cowboys, "The cavalry isn't coming! The cavalry isn't coming!" And what it meant was there was only a few things that they could do in the camp. One, they could run away. 2, they could stay and fight. And finally, 3, they could change their strategy and change their behavior. Well, many of us have worked in organizations for a long time, and we've waited and waited for the cavalry. But guess what? The cavalry isn't coming. So there's only 3 choices we have. We can either leave, we could decide to fight the system and surely lose, or we can change the way we act about making innovation happen. Now, what we call this is self-authorizing behavior. And what it means is we have to show ownership for innovation. We have to be innovating not for other people. We have to be innovating because we see this as an essential part of our own personal growth. Remember, the cavalry isn't coming, and the cavalry will never come. Better get to work. There's a fundamental difference between leading and leading innovation, and it's very simple. There is no data on the future where innovation happens. And so what you have to do if you're going to innovate is you have to make it up as you go along. You have to be mindful of the opportunities that emerge. Leading is about making what you want to have happen, happen. Leading innovation is about building the bridge as you walk over it. So you have to leave room for the stuff you don't know now. I want you to imagine you're climbing a mountain and you get to the top of the mountain only to discover that there are other mountains around you that are even higher. But now you have a new perspective. With each summit that you reach, you realize there are mountains with higher summits. So you have to plan on the unexpected, on the uncharted, the very things you can't know now. So when you're planning your innovation initiative, make sure you have lots of points in there where you can gain a new perspective, where you can be reflective, where you can make adjustments. Be sure to leave room for the very stuff that you don't know now. One last time, let's practice prismatic thinking. How will you develop your ability to lead innovation? How will you move your innovation initiatives forward? Most importantly, how will you make innovation happen in your organization? My favorite thing about Jumpstarts in general is every day is a new day.